All right, welcome, friends. I am excited to be with you today on another adventure. We're going to go out to Lily out at the Kansas Cosmosphere. Welcome, Lily.
Awesome. Are we ready to get started?
Yep, let's go ahead and go.
Awesome. Hi, guys. My name is Lily, and I work at the Cosmosphere. And if you don't know what that is a space museum out in Hutchinson, Kansas. So not too far away from the Wichita Zoo. Now, I'm here to talk to you guys about some very fuzzy and some very cute astronauts. But before we could send animals or people into space, we had to first make sure we could get to space. That's where this rocket comes in. This rocket is called the V2 rocket, and it was the very first rocket to ever make it into space. So, we made it to space. Check. Next, what was the first animal to make it in space? I want you to look to a friend next to you, and I want you both to guess what you think that animal is. So go ahead and take a second. Alrighty, if you haven't made a guess yet, that's a-okay. If you guessed fruit fly, you guessed correct. Fruit flies were the first animals to go into space. So we decided to be a little more adventurous with the next animal we sent to space. And we sent Laika the dog. She was first of many dogs to go into space and to become astronauts. And they were all very good boys and very good girls on their brave journey to space, and really were able to help us prepare to send people into space. Now, we also decided to send chimpanzees into space because, well, unlike dogs, chimpanzees have hands very much like ours. So if chimpanzees can go to space and they can do okay, then that means we could probably go to space and do okay. And the very first chimpanzee to go to space, his name was Ham, and his mission went so well. So well that we realized we can send people into space, and we can start that process and eventually make it to the moon. Now, on our last mission to the moon, we actually brought 5 very fuzzy and cute astronauts with us. They were 5 mice named Fee, Fi, Fo, Fum, and Fooey. These mice we used to help us understand how animals react being so far away from Earth, if they can handle being in a new and very different environment. Now, after we stopped going to the moon, we still wanted to do things in space and do experiments, so we built the space shuttle. A cool thing about the space shuttle is that it has a built-in lab in it. So astronauts can get aboard the space shuttle, they can launch into space, and they can orbit around Earth, and they can run all of these really cool experiments. And these experiments have been so very important. They've been able to figure out how to help treat different sicknesses. We're able to create different types of medication and help us learn more about the human body. Now, on this special laboratory up in space, they brought a whole lot of different animals to help them with this research. They brought fish up there, and they were able to find out fish do pretty well up in space. They don't really notice anything too different. They brought spiders into space, and spiders can weave their webs pretty normally up there, even though they're kind of floating around. They brought other things like geckos and lizards and stuff like that. The only thing they can't bring are birds. Birds need gravity in order to swallow their food. And up in space, there's not enough gravity for them to do that. So they leave birds here on Earth so that way they can live a long and happy life. Now, there we go. So, one very brave astronaut, her name was Nicole Stott. She went up into space and she was in charge of taking care of some very fuzzy friends, some mice that she ended up working with up in space. And we're going to watch this video where Nicole talks about what it was like going up into space with these mice. Now, you might not hear anything at first, but the audio should kick in after a few seconds. But if you're still having issues, please let us know. All right, so Nicole thought she really loved these mice. They were kind of like pets to her when she spent her time up in space. And she got kind of sad because, well, these pets they had to use for experiments. And they ended up getting hurt. And that made Nicole feel really, really sad and really, really upset. And whenever you use any kind of animal for an experiment, there's always a chance they could get hurt. And that's not good. We don't want to hurt animals, right? So people have been wondering, should we stop doing experiments with animals? And if so, how can we still do these kinds of experiments? And someone created something very cool. It's called tissue on a chip. Now, it's not like a potato chip. It's just a small little plastic disc, basically. And it has samples of tissue, which are parts of our body, kind of like our skin. They get small samples and put it on that disc. And you can run the exact same experiments on one of those that you would on an animal. So that means we don't have to use animals anymore, which is good because we don't want to hurt any of our animal friends, right? They haven't done anything to us. Now, we actually have a mouse here. Her name is Francine. And when we got Francine, we truly understood just how crazy it is that anyone would want to run an experiment on anything, really any animal, because we really got to see not only how smart she was, but how big of a personality she has. And it kind of made us sad to think that someone might want to do something that could potentially hurt her in the name of science. So I have Francine here with me today. I'm going to get her out. There you are. She's a little sleepy. Mice are nocturnal, which means they are active during the night and sleep during the day. So she's going to be a little sleepy. Now this is Francine. I'm going to come up and let you guys see her. She's being very curious right now. Let me see if I can. There she is. There's little Miss Francine. Everyone say hi to Miss Francine. All right. So Francine, like I said, she is very, very smart. In fact, she is probably, well, we know for a fact that she's smarter than a lot of students who have come here to the Cosmosphere. You see, we created a maze. And we trained Francine how to run through the maze. And she can go through this maze pretty quickly. We took this exact same maze and we put it online and we had students come here and they tried to go through the maze. None of them could go through it faster than Francine because she is very, very smart. But I also mentioned she has a big personality, and she does. As you can see, she's very curious, as she's climbing all over me. But she also loves to play. She loves running around. She has a little hamster wheel that she runs around on, and she can run really, really fast, like faster than you could possibly imagine a mouse could run. She also loves peanut butter. She will do anything if she can get peanut butter. She loves it so, so much. Now, Francine, she also has a roommate. Her roommate's name is Flojo. And Flojo also has a big personality, but she doesn't really like people very much. Francine loves people. She loves hanging out and crawling all over people. Flojo doesn't. She kind of likes doing her own thing. So, Flojo, she also loves food, but she'll eat any food. It doesn't just have to be peanut butter. She's also a major clean freak. She will clean and reorganize their cage basically every single day. So it looks different every single day that we come in to play with them and to feed them and to give them water. Now, I mentioned her going through a maze. Now, unfortunately, she's very tired because technically it is her sleeping time right now. So I'm not going to make her go through the maze for you guys. She's also kind of old. She Mice typically live for about a year to 3 years, and she's about 2 years old. So we're kind of letting her enjoy retirement a little bit and just bringing her out for people to see. But when she was much younger, a year ago, we got a video of her going through the maze at her fastest time. And I'm going to play that for you. Whoop. That went by faster than I expected. She was able to go through that maze in less than 9 seconds. The fastest I've ever seen a student do that maze, I think, was about 30 seconds. So she's got 20 seconds on you guys on how fast she can go through that maze. And of course, she only goes through it so fast because she knows that there's peanut butter at the end, which is her favorite little snack. Now, my goodness, do you know where you want to go? Right. Now I have another video of you guys where you can kind of get to see her be a bit more playful other than just crawling all over my hand as she's going through the maze. All right, so we talked about some really cool stuff today, right? We talked about sending different types of animals into space. It all started with a fruit fly, and then we sent Laika the dog first and many dogs later. And then we started sending chimpanzees into space before we sent people. And then when we started sending people, we started sending things like mice and other smaller animals to go into space so we could work with them in our laboratories. But now, thankfully, we don't have to do that because there are ways we can do these experiments without having to hurt our little furry friends. All right, so that is all the information I have for you guys. So now we're going to do questions. If you guys want to raise your hand if you have a question, your friend is going to type your question, and my friend Jason, he is going to read the question to me, and I will answer it. And just a fun fact as you guys are working on those questions, Like all animals, we all have to go to the bathroom. You probably can't see it on the camera, but Francine just went to the bathroom on my arm. Whew. So what else do the mice do? So we actually um, taught Francine how to play Connect Four. And we were able to play Connect Four with her for quite a while before she kind of got bored of it and didn't really want to play anymore. But yeah, she was pretty good at it. I think she beat quite a few people on how to play Connect Four. But we didn't want to overwork them because that's not nice. We wanted to be nice to them, give them a good life. So we really just worked on mazes and a game or two here or there, and that's all we really did.
All right, another question is what else does Francine eat?
So we want to make sure she has good nutrition. So we basically make these little pellets. We have a freeze dryer here, and that means that it's a big machine, and you put food in it, and it takes all the water out of that food, and it freezes it. So that way, it's kind of basically like crumbs of that food almost. And we take some very highly nutritious food from mice, and we put it through that freeze dryer, and we mix it all together, and we pack it into these little pellets, similar to pellets if you have like a hamster or something like that at home, and we give them to her. Of course, she will only really eat them if we put a little bit of peanut butter in with those pellets. But Flojo, her roommate, like I said, she'll eat anything that you give her. So but we want to make sure they are healthy and well fed and well cared for because we love our little mice friends.
All right, Evie
We
and a
also give
few
them cereal
others
sometimes, like
want to know how
um,
did you teach them
something
to go
called
through the
quinoa. It's
maze?
this fancy food. We dry it out, kind of like cereal. Oh, I'm so sorry. What does the mice eat? Okay. Could you repeat the question, please?
Sure. Evie and a few others wanted to know how did you teach Fran Francie to go through the maze?
So, how do we teach Francine to go through the maze? Well, we quickly found out that she loved peanut butter a whole lot. So, when we first built the maze, we kind of gave her some time to explore, get to know the maze, and all of that. Then we would put little bits of peanut butter to show her how to get to the end. And eventually, we could stop putting the little bits of peanut butter around and just have peanut butter at the end to encourage her to go all the way through the maze. She got to know that maze so well, she actually has a little corner in it that she goes to if she has to take a potty break while she's using the maze.
One student wanted to know, did they send cats into space?
Have they sent cats into space? I do not know if they've sent cats into space, but they have put cats in what is called the Vomit Comet. And this is really, really cool airplane that astronauts train in. And what it does is that it goes really, really fast, very similar to how fast you go when you're going into space. and then it drops down and it goes down really, really fast. And it makes you feel like you're in space. And they took a cat into the vomit comet. And it's called that because sometimes it makes people's tummies upset and sometimes it makes them throw up. Um, well, oftentimes it does. And they brought a cat in there, and the cat was not a fan. It did not enjoy its ride on the Vomit Comet. It was kind of flailing around, not really sure what was going on. So, no cats in space, but cats experience what it's like in space.
All right, another student wanted to know, where did you get Francine?
Where did we get Francine? We actually just got her from the pet store. Um, we decided to get girl mice because girls tend to pay attention a little bit better. Typically, that's not always the case, but typically they tend to pay attention a little bit better. So we got two girls, so that way they're not lonely, right? They have friends, and we um, adopted them from there and have been taking care of them ever since.
Another great question is, do they use the sense of smell to find the peanut butter?
Do they use their sense of smell to find the peanut butter? Yes, they do use their sense of smell to find their way. But also, they learn, if you remember, when we put little bits of peanut butter to guide them the correct way to get through the maze, so they kind of remember, oh, I've been through this place before. It has peanut butter. That means this is the place I need to go. But the smell does help as well.
How did Francine learn how to play the Connect Four? That's really impressive for a mouse.
How did Francine learn how to do Connect 4? Unfortunately, I did not train her how to do Connect 4. That was my friend Stefan who taught her. And he never really told me how he trained her, how to do it, but he did make a tiny little version of Connect 4 so we could play with her.
Another question is, does the mouse ever bite you?
So these mice we have kind of trained not to bite. One way to do that is to give them lots of toys to chew on, and that kind of prevents them from biting. Unfortunately, Francine has bit me like 3 times. She's never bitten anyone else, just me. And I think she was just feeling a little grumpy or a little sassy, and let me know that she was feeling that way. It doesn't hurt though. It just kind of feels like a little pinch.
They want to know a little
Yeah,
bit
another
about
way
the.
she's letting me know she's a little grumpy. She's been chirping at me. I don't know if you guys have been hearing that through the mic, but she's been chirping at me, letting me know, hey, I'm supposed to be sleeping now. Why do you have me up?
Another question was about the other mouse. What color is it, and how long have you had that mouse?
So Flojo, she's black with white spots on her. She's very cute. We got them both at the same time. We've had them for 2 years now, and their life expectancy is 3 years. So they're kind of um, elders at this point. Um, and yeah, they stay in the same cage together. They are best friends. They love playing together.
Is there plans to get more mice after Francine?
So that is something we're still trying to figure out. We know that when we do end up losing Francine, we're all going to be very, very sad because we all love her so much. She has been so amazing and so cool to work with. So, one, we're going to be very, very sad, and we don't know if we're going to be able to find another mice as unique and special as Francine. We don't know. I think we got really lucky with her. So we might, but we might not. We're still trying to figure that out.
Okay, what advice do you have for students that want to learn more about space?
What advice do I have for people who want to learn more about space? So if you want to learn more about space, there are a lot of really great books you can read that are made for kids. We also have Space Camp here, where you can learn all about space and stuff like that. There's also if you're grown-ups that you watch YouTube, there's this YouTube channel called Sci Kids, SCI Kids. And they have a lot of really great resources for science and space and ways that we can understand it. Because that stuff is really complicated. I don't even understand all of it. It is super complicated. But that is another really great way to try to learn more about space or science.
All right, one question I think is a great question. Does FloJo
Oh, she's
ever
trying to get my
play
jacket. There we go.
Connect 4 with Francine? And that'll be our last question for today, so thank you.
Has Flojo ever played Connect Four with Francine? I wish. Unfortunately, Flojo has no interest in being trained to do anything. She would much rather clean and play and all of that. So that's why Francine was learned how to do Connect Four and also was taught how to go through the maze. All right, since that was the last question, thank you guys so much for all your amazing questions and hanging out with me and Flojo. Here she is one more time. Everyone say bye to Flojo. I hope you guys have a great and amazing day.
All right, everyone, thank you so much. We hope to see you on our next adventure. And thank you, Lily, for all that you have shown us. And thank you, Francine, for being our special guest. Take care, everyone. Hope to see you on the next one.